Who do I think should win every NBA award this year? Welcome back to the Green Beans Go channel. It's your host, me, and today we're diving into the 7 different NBA awards for the 2023-2024 season and who I think should win the finalists. The 3 finalists were named last night, and this week they will start announcing the winners of these. So let's get into it. First with the Coach of the Year. Here are your 3 finalists. I think Mark is by far and away the Coach of the Year. I don't think it's up for debate, and I don't think it should even be debated. To take a 10 seed last year to the number 1 overall seed in the West deserves the award. Period. Okay. Now Jamal Mosley taking a 13 seed Magic team to the 5th seed in a more competitive East definitely deserves some credit and deserves some recognition. And I think he'll get his credit and recognition, but I don't think it's more impressive than what OKC was able to do this year. Chris Finch, sure, fine. Let's give him 3rd place, but I think the Timberwolves are a bit loaded. You have veterans in Mike Conley and Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns, and then you have dominant players like Anthony Edwards. It just, the coach is less important when you have guys who have been in the NBA as long as they have. So I don't really love him at 3rd. I think they could have probably found someone slightly more deserving, but it is what it is. These are my votes for that. Clutch Player of the Year is probably one of my least favorite awards that I have to talk about in this video because I feel like it's too abstract. The definition of this award is which player comes through for their team in the clutch. It's too vague, and by and large, it's a weird award. I don't think we can give it to Steph Curry this year because when his team needed him to come through down the stretch when they were fighting for a playoff spot, he was unable, in my opinion, to perform, to really elevate to that level. Now, he was injured. I understand that for a lot of the end of the year, so I will recognize that. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, as I talk about this, I'm starting to maybe question if he doesn't deserve this award. Maybe not individual game, final seconds on the clock, you want the ball in his hands clutch, whereas DeMar DeRozan is very much that for the Bulls. But in terms of coming through when your team needs wins, when your team needs leadership, when your team needs results, I think you give it to Shai. So if this award is going to be analyzed from the perspective of overall clutch, not just like final 10 seconds clutch, I think you go Shai. If this award is who do you want to take the last shot for your team in crunch time, then maybe you go DeMar DeRozan. I think DeMar DeRozan will win this award, and I think Shai will be snubbed from multiple awards that he is deserving of this year, but that is for another slide. 6th Man of the Year is an okay award, and I think the most important thing we have to talk about here is what's taking credit away from Malik Monk is his injury in the late half of this season. Okay, he was injured all, the end of March and all of April leading up to the playoffs. Naz Reid is the opposite. He was the beneficiary of a Karl Anthony Towns injury. So when you think about 6th man, you don't think about starter. And Naz Reid started the last month. And by starting the last month, he really increased his case for 6th Man of the Year because his statistics went up. So by definition, he might be a 6th man, but in all actuality of what has taken place over the last month and a half, he's been a starter. So really kind of a bizarre situation with Naz Reid, which is why I think you have to give it to Malik Monk, who is a true 6th man and who truly played that role for the Kings all year. And if he didn't get injured again, I think this would be his award without question. Obviously, Bobby Portis is a great player and a great 6th man and a great guy to step up when Giannis is hurt. But I don't know if, honestly, I think the Bucks were a little too loaded for him to really stand out for this award. He's not a flashy player. He can't do a ton. He can score and rebound. So that kind of takes away from his credibility for this award. So I do think it is Malik Monk's, and I think that's fine. Rookie of the Year, I am itchy, guys. I'm sorry. I'm flat out itchy today. It's Wemby's. Wemby will win this award, and he should win this award. 21 points, 11 rebounds, and 4 assists. Brandon Miller will get 3rd, and he is not particularly close in these categories. 2 of the 3, he's not even got half of what Wemby has. Chet, I do believe Chet deserves some credit because this is a guy who technically didn't play his rookie year because of an injury. He comes back off of that injury and plays 82 games. He played the entire regular season for the Thunder, so I do think he is deserving of credit and recognition, but I don't think his performance outdid Wembanyama's performance. So we'll give it to Wemby on this one. And now we talk about most improved player, which is the award that I think has the opportunity for the most debate so far. You have these three players right here. And I have some things to say about each of them. We'll start with Sengun, who I think will get third. And I think he will get third because of his injury. This is a guy who was pretty solid, started 63 games for the Rockets. Now, in late February, early March, he does get injured and he is out for the rest of the year. I think if he doesn't get injured, this award is more competitive and he has a chance to win this award. But because of his injury, I think it's going to rule him out of an opportunity. Going on to Kobe White, who I think should get second. Now, I don't know how this vote is going to shake out. I can see Kobe White winning this, and I think it will be a slight miscalculation if Kobe White wins this award. Kobe White did improve from his last year's statistics. But if you go back and look at him 2 years ago and even 3 years ago on the Bulls, his statistics were similar to what he put up this year. So if the award was called who played well, then underperformed, then came back and played to the level that they had played 2 years ago, we can give it to Kobe White. But if we want to talk about who has just improved, flat out improved from their previous years in the NBA, their direct last year and the years prior, then it has to go to Tyrese Maxey because these numbers have improved. He went from not always starting last year to being a full-time starter this year and putting up very impressive numbers. I think it has to go to Tyrese Maxey. Yes, Kobe White improved from last year's statistics, but he really just went back to where he was 2 years ago. So I think it's a bit of a flawed perspective if we end up giving it to Kobe White. I hope it goes to Tyrese Maxey. Defensive Player of the Year. This is where I'm going to get upset. And you can see I have not graded any of these guys right now. None of these guys have medallions on them. And I want to talk about some statistics first. Here are 6 statistics. We have a defensive rating, which is kind of a summative evaluation of a player's defense. We have defensive win shares, which is a really complicated measure, but it takes in things that I don't think are necessarily valuable to defense. It takes a metric of minutes played and rebounds mixed with like other team categories. I don't think it's a good indicator of individual defense, even though it is an individual defensive statistic, as you can see here. Opponent's second chance points. So the second chance points they are going to allow defensively per game. Opponent's fast break points, steals, and blocks. I have gone ahead and increased the text size of the player who leads each of these categories. And if we're just going off of metrics, if we're just going off of statistics, there is a clear winner. It's not close. One of these players dominates 5 of the 6 categories, except defensive win shares, which I don't even think is a valid assessment of an individual player's defense. By and large, I think these other metrics are more important. He's better at defending second chance opportunities. He's better at defending the fast break. He is doubling the steals of some of these guys, and he is almost doubling the blocks of some of these guys. And that's Victor Wembanyama. And he's not going to win this award. And there's 2 reasons why he's not going to win this award, and I think there are 2 very flawed reasons why. And this rant that I'm about to have could be its own video, and may be its own video. The first is that he's going to win Rookie of the Year, and they're not going to give a rookie 2 different awards. Do I think that's fair? No. Do I think he's earned Defensive Player of the Year? Yes. But they're not going to vote for him because they already voted for him for Rookie of the Year. That's the first reason, and I think that's a pretty lame reason. The next reason is because he's on a losing team. He's on a team that ranked 26 in defense, whereas Rudy Gobert's team was a top 5 defense. I would argue that it's easier to be a better defender on a team with 4 people who also defend, whereas Victor Wembanyama was not on a good defending team, but as an individual, he rose above the level of his teammates and defended that much more than they did. Victor Wembanyama can also guard multiple positions. You stick Rudy Gobert out on a point guard or a shooting guard or even a small forward, he's cooked. It's over, right? I don't like that Rudy Gobert is going to win this award. Rudy Gobert is going to win this award, but I do not think he is deserving of this award to the level that Victor Wembanyama is deserving of. Now, I'll go ahead and make a prediction that next year, 2024, 2025, Victor Wembanyama will take this award with ease. It won't even be a discussion. And it will show that ultimately I'm right. Okay. I hope that the Spurs have a losing record next year. I hope that the Spurs are just as bad and their defense is just as bad and he keeps the same stat line. And I bet he'll win Defensive Player of the Year. And it will take out this narrative of you can't win it if you're on a losing team, which I think is a stupid narrative, okay? And people are going to argue, well, what about MVP? You don't give MVP to bad teams. I think it's a different award. Contextually, most valuable player implies that you're leading your teams to wins. Defensive Player of the Year does not imply inherently that you are leading your team to good defense. It's recognizing that you as an individual have a supreme talent for defending players. That's how I understand it. I get you can argue with me. I think Victor Wembanyama will get screwed. I think he's deserving, but he's not going to win. And here's the deal. MVP. I don't know. I sat down and I could not decide who should be the MVP. I think this is splitting hairs over an abstract award. I hate the MVP award because what does it mean? If you want to look at most valuable player for their team, then it's Shea or it's Jokic. If you want to look at just raw stats, who had the best numbers, then it's probably Luka. If you want to look at the intangibles, right? Like MVP award based on how you feel as the viewer. Like I feel in my gut that Shea is the most valuable player to his team. You take Jokic off his team, I think the Nuggets can still win games. You take Luka off this team, I know Dallas is going to still perform. You take Shea off the Thunder, they're not one in the West. Okay, so here you have a team that is number one in the West, has a player that averaged 30 points, 5 assists, and he is not going to win MVP. So if you want to keep the same energy of, well, they got to be on a good team, why are we not giving the award to him who made his team the best? That's my rant. So I guess I've talked myself into it. Shea, I think, should win this award. Jokic is going to win this award, though, if I had to guess. So those are my takes. Those are my opinions. Let me know in the comments what you agree and disagree with. Happy to have a conversation. That's what I got for you. We'll see in the next few days what happens, and it's politics, baby. It's politics.